Hey, you there. Thank you for watching and welcome to Forge Lines Forever. Today I have a 6v6 custom match here on the most amazing Rockstar map generator. Let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players. Starting off with Team 1 on the northern side of the map, and we'll end with Team 2 on the southern side of the map. Taking a look at Team 1's isolated player to the western side, we have in royal blue, it is Sokaku 22. He is an Aeon for this match as a 1200. To his east in the middle of Team 1, we have in emerald green, it is Zoom playing as a Cybern. He is a 1700. North of his position, we have in Pac-Man yellow, it is Wi-Fi. He is a UEF for this match as a 2200, the highest rated player on Team 1, and barely the highest rated player overall. Right next door to him, we have in Imperial Gray, it is Trottil playing as a Cybern. He is a 1400. Moving on to the eastern side, we have in Light Oak Tan, it is Kitelins? I think it's Collins? I think it's Collins, maybe. He is a Seraphim for this match as a 1400. And then to his southeast, we have in lightish red pink, it is the Aeon of Velarone. He is a 1700. So over Team 1 side of the map, they have 1 UEF, 2 Cybern, 2 Aeon, and 1 Seraphim. Taking a look at Team 2's isolated player on the eastern side, we have in Ruby Red, it is Themo 29. He is a UEF. He is a 1200. Moving on to the rough middle of Team 2, we have in orange, the color orange, it is Zio playing as a Cybern. He is a 2000 rated. To his south in regal purple, we have the Seraphim of Swadoslav. He is a 2100, the highest rated player on Team 2. Next door to him, we have in tropical ocean blue, it is the UEF of Zigster. He is a 1400. Moving on to lightish red pink player of Freddy Fresh. He is a Cybern for this match as a 1300, which does mean that Team 1's for the one is in Barbie Pink. Apologies for that. And to his northwest, we have an Amethyst Purple. It is Snowy 801 playing as a UEF as a 1700. So over Team 2 side of the map, they have 3 UEF. They also have 2 Cyberns, 0 Aeon, and 1 Seraphim. And Team 2 is the only team in this game lacking a faction, being the Aeons, but all other factions do exist in this game, so no one is missing out on all the action. And for these 12 players on the map, let's take a look at their reclaim situation, currently sitting at 46,000 mass and reclaim, which we'll just round it up a little bit just to make the math easier in my head. About 4K mass per player. And in terms of the major clumpages, it's not really that all, concentrated. We see a couple of 500s, 300s, 200s, 100s, 350s, 360s, all dotted around the map. There is a little bit of lack of reclaim when it gets to the eastern and western sides, but for the most part, it is really distributed around the map. And just like the environment, it is just shotgunned all around the place in terms of mexes. There are a couple of spots where there are some clumpages of mexes. We'll take a look at Team 1 side of the map. There's 2 Trimex positions here and here on the western and eastern side, 1 Twin Mex in the middle. But there's also a quad mex or 4-star mex position here, and another quad mex there. Looks like it's going to go to Kalen's to grab. There's also a trimex position here in between the western half of Team 1. And I think that's about it in terms of the major clumpages. There are some spots of water on the map, but I don't expect them to be really used in this game, to be honest, just because they are in the corners. Maybe somebody will hide in them at a bare minimum, but nothing in terms of some actual naval action in this game, which is unfortunate, but not every game can have Navy. And in terms of the players' movement so far, we do see from Team 2 side, everybody has left their main base. We do see Team 2 Swadoslav heading in the eastward direction to go for this nice little civilian structure here. A couple of Team 1 PDs, so not completely defenseless. But once he deals with that, it's going to be a nice, easy little bit of reclaim for him to grab. We do see on Team 1 side of the map, not everybody has left their main base. The only people who have not are Zoom and Trotto. Everybody else is making their way either to the western half or the eastern half. And I will say this right now, pathfinding is going to be a pain because of all of these annoying mountains. I'll get a nice little side view of all this. Just look at them all. Look at all of that nonsense. And there are, decent spots somewhere here and there and in between, but I don't really expect it to be a roughly traditional lane system that we see in other matches. I think we kind of see this, eastern half and western half kind of, very much a thinner environment in terms of impediments. But down the middle, it is just everywhere. Well, I guess maybe you could maybe carve out a little bit of a path, maybe, but it's not as easy to do so on the eastern and western side. So we might see more of a trend in the more outer edge department rather than straight down the middle, which is good for the central players because they don't have to worry about as much, but it does put a little bit more strain on the more exterior sides of the map. We do see Team 2 is sending 2 players up the north. We're seeing Zio and Zixter moving in. A couple of units inbound from Team 1 Zoom. That's going to be a fun environment for him. But I will note, in terms of pathfinding, though, as well, it's easy and hard. Easy because there's just a lot of avenues to get to places. Hard because it's just going to be difficult to lock down avenues because there's just so many little nooks and crannies and crevices and all of that where it just kind of makes it not necessarily pointless to build wall sections, but it just makes it not as easy to manage. So there'll be a lot of bleeding, I would expect, for a while, especially in the T1, T2 stage. But once we get to T3, I wouldn't be surprised if PD just gets looted all over the place and there's really no good environments to really go in except for the major sections of land incursions. Shokaku getting a nice set of facilities online. Start pumping out some more T1 units. I am checking the reclaim just roughly just so that we see how much reclaim's been scooped up. Already down to 33,000, so 13,000 has been scooped up at 6.5 minutes. First upgrade of the match is going to Velorone with T2 on board. Again, he's in Barbie Pink, and his opponent on the western side of the map for Freddy Fresh in the Lattice Red Pink. They do look similar, not the exact same, but I do get them confused once in a while. Apologies for that. Again, we do see T2 also for Shokaku on the western side, so T2 and T2 on board. We're coming on board for Team 1. No upgrades as of yet from Team 2. We probably will see some gun upgrades again on the western and eastern half, and I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see a gun from Team 2. There are 2 Cybern players for Team 1, so maybe a sensor package. They are on the exterior side of the map, so maybe not, but we'll see. We do see Team 2 suddenly sending a decent amount of forces northward. Surprised he's not in the Snow White color scheme because of the, of course, snowy name, but, maybe he just likes Amethyst Purple that bit more. We do see Team 2's player of Themo getting closer and closer to Team 1's front line. And in terms of the front line, it's kind of barren on both sides. Again, one player focusing on T2, one of them just getting some facilities online now. But there's a couple of annoying little flares that decided to run by from Team 1, so maybe causing some havoc. They are going to go for this mech's position. Maybe they thought an engineer was there, maybe not, but we will see. We do see T2 now being built for Team 1's Kalins or Collins. I think it's Collins. I keep thinking there's a T there, but it is an L. I don't know. I think I'm just thinking of Caitlin, maybe. I don't know. He is also being in the upgrade system with Team 2's Freddy Fresh. He's going for his gun speed and range on board that commander. Again, the first upgrade for Team 2 to be noticed by the caster. We'll see if that'll be the only one. Probably not. That would be very rare to see very minimal upgrades for commanders. Speaking, okay, never mind. And never mind. 2 gun upgrades have been started for Team 2. We see Zixter and Zio building theirs. And we do see a couple more forces from Team 1 just trying to sneak on by. They're inbound from Zoom, trying to cause some havoc for the more eastern half of Team 2. And we kind of see those players from Team 2 are kind of starting to split off on their western and eastern halves of the central point on the map. I would not be surprised to see maybe an Omni built for Team 2 there if they can keep it online. That'll be the thing. And more forces still causing some annoyances for Team 2 from Collins. Looks like the comm of Swadoslav has taken some damage, but he's perfectly fine back there for now. And of course I say that, and then he'll be immediately killed off. Stealth started after Freddy Fresh's gun upgrade has been completed. And I don't think there's any more upgrades for Team 1. Except for the RAS upgrade for Trato. Looks like it's T2 Air and T2 Land going for T3 immediately for Zoom. We do see it is going to be the air player for Team 1. It is Trato going for T3 now. Maybe secondary from somebody. Maybe over here to the east. tons of T1 pigeons just hanging out over there. And we are seeing that air facility being built now, so maybe secondary on that eastern, or northeastern side at least for Team 1. Southwestern side, T2 air is done. T2 land, T2 air being upgraded to T3 for Swaddleslav. So 2 airplanes possibly for Team 2 and possibly 2 for Team 1. Gun speed started for Valeron on the eastern side. Again, he won't have the range on board, but at least he'll be able to fight as fast or do quote-unquote as much damage as his opponents on that side of the map. Nano repair started here for Team 2 Zigster. Gun and Nano, maybe he'll go for shield for the tanky UEF commander. A couple of gunships are inbound going after some Team 1 units from Freddy Fresh as well. There's not a lot of AA, and they are renegades. They do a decent amount of damage on board their vessels, their aircraft, but not a whole lot. We do see gun damage range started for Snowy 801 on that western side. And now we're seeing the upgrade phase starting to be in full swing at 10.5 minutes. Now, this match is about 47 minutes long, something around that. So we're already about almost a 10th of the way through the game. In terms of intelligence gathering, Team 1, this is what they can see. They're barely getting some insights on what Team 2 is up to. Again, 11 minutes. I think it's a little bit, not late, but just want to get that air scout just online a little bit sooner. But it's not incredibly bad if they don't, because this is what Team 2 can see, which is way worse than what Team 1 can see. So, but again, it's not the fact that, somebody's building a surprise Monkey Lord or surprise Nuke at 11 minutes, which would just be insane as an example. But it's just one of those scenarios where you definitely want to have some consistent intelligence gathering. And then, of course, when T3 starts to be main stage or mainstream, start to just send waves of spy planes, not just 1 or 2, but like 4 or 5, just to ensure they get somewhere. We do see possible combi action occurring between Veleron and Themo. Themo, no gun upgrade, and Veleron, a gun, and T2 on board. I should say that's gun speed, because the range upgrade does not exist in the cannot exist in the same slot as a T2 engineering upgrade for the Aeons. We do see T3 air also online for Wi-Fi, so maybe 3 air players for Team 1, as we see T2 air now done for Collins. Again, I'm probably saying their name wrong, apologies, but it's like not Caitlin's, which is why I want to pronounce it that way, but it's a T-L, not a T, so it's just, I don't know, I'm trying to train my brain to not say that. No, combi action, he has taken some damage, Themo's comm, but not a terrible amount. We do see some blazes inbound to start thinning out the herd for him. He does have some transports dropping off more engineers, probably for PD and shielding and whatnot. But he does have to be careful not to overextend and be the first kill of the game. T2 started for Wi-Fi. Shield started for Snowy. So we have the gun nano comm of Zigster and then the gun shield comm of Snowy. And you put those comms together and you get the not Aeon, but the UEF tanky comm. We do see Swaslov going for T2 over here to the east. We also see that Kalen's is over here as well. He has T2 on board. A nice little shield emplacement there to protect himself, and his nice little radar system that's now made. And T2 PD still annoying Themo, and it's just trading shot for shot at this point. T2 PD kills off that PD killed off that PD's almost done. It's just a huge back and forth, and it looks like maybe Themo's going to be out PD'd by Team 1. T2 still progressing here for Swadoslav, and in the north again, still not moving from Trotil or from Zoom. They are hanging out in the base, which, I mean, I guess they're protected there in terms of any sort of snipe opportunities from Team 2. We do see a couple of now Loyalists running around for Zoom. They get those missile redirect systems on board. And a nice little Loyalist from Team 2 starts to emerge. And wall sections are being made, so there is going to be an attempt to start curtailing movement from Team 2 onto Team 1's side of the map. Still more blazes pushing in, and Themo is in full retreat. He kind of has to be, because he doesn't really have that much support on the front line. Maybe he's going straight for T3, and that's where he doesn't have anything on board. No, he's getting engineers online, so maybe not, but just kind of thin on the unit count for him. In terms of eco, Team 1 and Team 2 about the same, barely in favor of Team 2, but again, a six-player game, or six-player team game. I mean, 30 mass a second is 5 mass a second. It's 1 T2 max. Realistically, it's not a lot to be ahead. western side. There is a still not really a lot of action, almost like a ceasefire over there on that western side. Ras started for Wi-Fi nano repair, so he is going for a UEF tanky comm. We do see Zixter again, no shield yet, but he is starting to push in as well on that western side. So a little bit in favor, I'd say, for Team 1 on the eastern front, and then a little bit in favor for Team 2 on the western front. We also see that Team 2's Freddy Fresh is hanging back for now. He has gun, stealth, and nano on board, so no cloaking, and of course no laser yet. But I would not be surprised if he goes for one or the other, or both, who knows. We do see those forces from Team 1's Valorant can actually sneak by. I think they might be able to squeeze through that. Looks like they are going to. Again, that's the whole map being annoying with all the little crevices and cracks and whatnot, piercing the veil and just getting to the other side of the map. They are doing a little conga line action, but they are getting through, so there is that. Bomber inbound won't be able to thin them out fast enough. There is a transport inbound. Looks like it's a loyalist on board coming to assist. And Zio's trying to drop that down in front of those blazes. And again, the EMP weapons on board the loyalists do affect T2 units. The blazes, at least if they were all together, might be able to kill off the loyalists quick enough, but they will take some losses in their chance to do so in that spot. A little bit of time for Thema to get some more bombers online. Between that, the loyalists and other forces inbound, that should be enough to thin this blaze force enough to not be a super great concern. Again, a couple of those blazes did get EMP'd from the death weapon, but not too much. Looks like they were trying to maybe make for that main base, but they're not going to get there anytime soon. Unfortunate for Team 1, fortunate for Team 2. Western side, the ceasefire has broken, and Snowy with the nano gun and shield commander starting to pierce through Shokaku's forces. Not looking good for him, trying to get some Team 1 PD to help out. There are some Percys in that mix. Definitely has to watch out for any sort of snipes. He's not really moving. A couple more Percys remain. Ooh, one more shot would have killed off the comm. Asylum saves him from one shot. Oh. No, I think that was 30 or 40 hit points, and looks like he might actually get out of there. Ooh, that was very, very close. It's not 5 or 6 hit points. I don't think have I seen single-digit hit point comms? I don't think I've ever seen I've actually seen in double digits. I think the lowest might have been 30-something. T3 pointed out by Wi-Fi, talking to Trottel about asking for a T3 engineer is probably what he's going for. And with that significant amount of damage done to Shokaku's comm, it will prompt Team 2 to continue to push because he's forced to fall back anyways. And that'll be a win. And again, as we see Wi-Fi trying to come in with some stingers, they don't have a lot of damage on board. And looks like they have found a... Nope. Thought they found a target, and they did not. And look, their bigger brother of the broadsword is there to come say hi. And they look at almost the exact same, a little bit a thicker profile for the broadsword, but it's pretty well similar to the stinger. We do see Snowy is going to get some stinging. Not unfortunate for him. And we do see the pings going down, say, hey, get this gunship off my back. They're going for the flat cannons. Most of the stingers have not been dealt with, so that is a benefit for Team 2 Snowy. But again, it will prompt Snowy to fall back. We do see some forces inbound from Freddy and his comm to assist and maybe just bring some of that AA he's packing with him. Not a lot nearby for Snowy. Maybe he should have gone for a Cougar or something, but hey, it should be enough to drive that broadsword away at a bare minimum. Second broadsword has made an appearance. All the stingers are gone. They're targeting the AA. Those bangers are being shoved out of the sky, or shoved out of the ground, I guess. And shield started for Shokaku to get some hit points back. We'll give him 8,000 to start with, and if he goes for the heavy shield, he'll go for 25,000, so an additional 17. Eastern side, looks like that side of the map still bleeding for Team 2. We do see some more loyalists from Zio and Harbingers from Team 1's Valorant, so he's upgraded a little bit in that technology department. And those loyalists really just can't compete against the Harbingers. The shield definitely helps out, and of course the EMP weapons don't do anything to T3 units, but the death weapons do EMP a little bit, but the secondary fire doesn't do anything. And air fight, ooh, does not, oh, that's not great for Team 2's air. That's a huge loss. Again, it is not a lot of intercepts to lose in one setting, but at 18 minutes, that's essentially his entire air force. That is a lot to lose in terms of percentage-wise. Maybe that'll prompt somebody to go for bomber, maybe? No, still ASFs. And if he's going to build bomber, he's probably going to build it out of that one with all the assistants. Looks like it's just more and more ASFs. Team 1, of course, has T3 air for Trontil as well. And now T3 air is online for Collins to the northeast. So 3 T3 air headquarters is getting their air grids nice and plump. I am ways behind with my Ecosystemo. And he is getting bullied a little bit by these Harbingers from Team 1's. By the way, he is getting some assistance from Zaya, but still, the Harbingers are still alive. And it's just not a good situation to be in here for Themo. He's at 72 mass a second, and everybody else in the game is at least at 100 plus, actually 130 plus. So he's almost half of what his opponents are currently producing, and then some, depending on who you reference. In terms of eco total all, though, Team 1 is barely in the lead, 1.7 to 1.5. So not a terrible much, and it's actually 1.6, so the number keeps jumping back and forth. But those Harbingers are still inbound. T2 pillars just trying to be spammed up to deal with the Harbingers that are inbound, and now there's a gunship or two. Bombers still trying to annoy those Harbingers, and because those Harbingers are the fastest moving T3 mainline unit in the game, they get out of that lingering damage pretty quickly. Harbingers are dealing with those pillars nice and easily, but now the second one is going to die here shortly due to the gunship assist. And then the third one will be smothered here shortly. So lovely, lovely distraction from Team 1. The other one gets a little bit closer, but not too crazy close. Themo might be going for some T3 Ravagers shortly, but he is getting some T2 artillery. So he's just trying to say, shoo, 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 go away. And on that western side, we do see gun range started for Shokaku. I think he went for T2. Now he's switching that out for a gun. Might be going for advanced range after this, and he did go for heavy shield, so 25 additional 1,000 hit points on board that Commander Wi-Fi, getting a ton of T2 PD. But that is, sir, that is a decent chunk. That's almost a dozen T2 PD. Maybe I should get a name for it, Klimpich PD. No, because there's like tickle cannons, and I feel like that deserves its own name. But anyways, in terms of intelligence gathering, this is what Team 1 can see on Team 2 side of the map. They know where 1, 2, 3, 4 of the commanders are for Team 2. And then they lose them all, so maybe power outage. Oh, yeah, power outages for Wi-Fi, so that's not helpful. And then for Team 2, this is what they see on Team 1 side of the map. They don't see where anybody is on the map besides just a comment about a comm of Collins, which is he still there? He's not. So kind of an out-to-date little box or a little note, pinned comment, whatever you want to call it, from Team 2. But this is starting to be concerning for Team 1, even with the shield on board, which is actually down because he doesn't have the power to run the shield. This group of Perseus is getting ever so closer, and it's just not a fun time for those with a bug online. So Wi-Fi builds an experimental air unit, 21 minutes on the clock. He has 500 plus mass income, and then Trottel's at 520. I feel like Wi-Fi might be was reclaim related a little bit, but still 450 is a lot. He produces an air experimental, and those Perseus are not looking good. Yeah, I thought Team 1 wasn't looking good, and that bug came out, and I kind of threw that right back in my face, didn't it? We do see in the middle of the map, a little bit of action between some Perseus of Team 2 and some Bricks and Loyalists, I guess, that were now dead. For Team 1, that was a overkill if I've ever seen it, with 3 Perseus targeting a very small unit. That's a Soul Ripper, says Snowy. Yes, that is a Soul Ripper. At 22 minutes and 22 seconds on the clock, we do see whatever units in this group here from Freshie coming in to assist. More Cougars nearby for Snowy, and he's kind of in danger. He has his shield on board, which is 19,000 plus 16, which is 35,000 hit points. So he does have some firepower there. There are some ASFs just waiting, and then Wi-Fi is going to go right in front of that gunship and say, no thank you. And then the ASFs from Team 1's Kalins are just going to distract them a little bit, not a whole lot. There are some ASFs online for Freddy Fresh, actually. Moving in to charge that bug with some evasion of airspace. We do see some AA being built down here for Snowy trying to deal with this bug, and the bug is And all of this momentum for Team 2 that they did have is now essentially gone for now. Harbingers are inbound from Shokaku to push back and get a little bit more breathing space. Again, he is the isolated player for Team 1, and then Themo is the isolated player for Team 2. Again, that is kind of a factor on what side you want to push a little bit more. You can box out that player and then continue pushing westward. In Team 1's example, missiles are inbound. Speaking of which, for Themo's position, shield is down. Looks like assisting the comm with regenning a little bit. And a little bit of sniper bot action as well. Nobody is dead 23 minutes. That's a great sign for both teams. That APM is staying strong, at least trying to. Again, those Percy's going to help defend, but there's still more Harbingers inbound. They've lost a decent chunk of their numbers due to that bug. And the ASFs, they don't go for it. But looks like it was maybe a veiled attempt from Team 1 to sneak attack them once again, but no, they didn't go after the bug. Or they didn't coast after with the bug. They just kind of went in a slightly different direction. Is he building another one? He's not building another one, but he might be building artillery. He might be doing that, but we'll see. That's kind of just a default, I think, template for most players at this point. Just build it and then put an artillery piece, so you have it just in case you want it, but you don't have to build it. Snowy moving in with his comm to deal with the remaining Harbingers. The Percys have been dealt with. And now the AA is also being dealt with. Does have to be careful to not get overwhelmed, but he has a couple more forces inbound with some parashields to hide under. There are some asylums to annoy Team 2 as well. And Overcharge kills off a nice little Obsidian and a Harbinger at the same time. So now 3-star vet for him. And again, 19,000 hit points and shields is nothing to scoff at. It's not 25,000. But it also doesn't take 2 upgrades to get to 25,000. Sorry, to 19,000. It only takes 1. And the Harbingers now focusing the comm. They probably will rip the shield off, but that's probably it. The remaining Harbingers go away. And there's a nice little reclaim field for maybe Team 1 to grab if they're fast enough. Again, the Harbingers can reclaim. That is a unique feature of the Harbinger on board. So we'll see if they use it. If they don't, that's their choice, but they do have the ability to do so. We do see a couple of bricks inbound, lots of tickle cannons. Actually, a loyalist. Were those mainly loyalists? Looks like those are actually mainly loyalists. Never mind. There's also some whalers inbound, so T3 and T4 gunships starting to mix it up. And Toronto over here to the north with just the RAS on board. And Team 1's Shokaku again pushing in right where Snowy was hanging out earlier. Team 1 is starting to get a little bit of resurgence, but not enough to be super concerning for Team 2, but it is enough to be one of those, okay, you got to watch out for it just in case. ASFs moving in for some gunships. They are T2s, though they're not T3, so not a terrible loss, but still a loss nonetheless. And then a couple of gunships will be definitely remembered as the bouncer missiles sneak up and kill off an ASF or 2. We do see Harbingers inbound to the east, and again, the Aeons for Team 1 are on either side of the map, so Harbingers, especially with a map like this with all the crevices and annoyances and moving around the map, they are definitely going to take advantage of the non-linear map would be probably a way to put it. But with the whalers here from Team 2, Zio, good luck getting anywhere near anything, because they are whalers. They're the middle ground between the restorers and the broadswords in terms of air-to-ground and air-to-air weaponry. Some sort of line drawn from Team 1 or Team 2. No idea what that's about. Maybe just talking about move the ASFs in or something. And in the south, are there any big surprises? There's a huge air grid, though. That's kind of... Ooh. That's a surprise. T3 artillery has been started for Swadoslav. He's going for the long-range game at 26 minutes. This isn't a nuke, which we usually see start the long-range game, but... So, I say that. And there's one right there. So technically that did start the long-range game. So never mind. Snowy built a nuke and is loading it as we speak. And speaking of nuke, Billy Nuke has been started for Wi-Fi, and all of the everything is being built now. 26 minutes on the clock. We have a Mabor thought about for Team 1. We have a Scath. That's half done. What is this game? Is nobody just going to fight the ground game or partly air game and just build all the big things? Awasa Bomber being built by Kailins, because why not? At this point, I'm half expecting Paragon to be started somewhere for Team 1. I have no idea at this point. half done. Okay, that's a land experiment, that makes sense. But Mavor has been started. Definitely gets the P-gens and the shields and the everything, but he is building it kind of right behind this little mountainside. Not a lot of coverage from that, but hey, a little bit of coverage is better than no coverage. Half cover is better than zero cover. I mean, 3/4 cover is better than half cover, but it's better than nothing. Bug is inbound once again to help the western side. I'll try to keep track of the nuke loading for Snowy. And that Bug has taken damage, but he's already at 3-star vet. So again, he's definitely done some work for Team 1. And then now Team 2 is like, no. We're kind of done with that now. You had your fun. You killed off about a charge or so of Percy's, and now that's about it. We do see 3 players in the ASF game. We have, of course, the main ones for Swatoslav. We also have Team 2's Zixter in the air game, as well as Freddy Fresh in a little bit of it. It's a smidgen, but, a smidgen is better than none. Something is always better than nothing, that's for sure. And Nuke, speaking of loading it, checking it out, it's almost done. Now here's the question, does Team 2 know anything about Team 1? No. They know there's an SMD there, that's about it. They don't know anything about over there as well. They have no insight of what Team 1's up to. Team 1, do you know anything? They know about the nuke. They kind of actually know about the artillery. They've spotted it at some point. Once it's online, that icon will most likely be filled in. That's about it. Team 1 doing a little bit better on the intelligence gathering. And again, doing pretty well on the game raider building. 28 minutes. I think the fastest Scathis I've seen is 28 minutes. It was very quick. It was insane. There was a lot of mass near that player's base in terms of mexes and whatnot, so he could really just full send it. Didn't have to worry about a lot of air units or any units in general. I think, if I'm thinking of the game correct, there's so many. I've almost 800 games, and some of them, or I can remember pretty well, but a lot of them kind of just mush together. Maybe that's partly of the map gen flavor of Subcom, but that's probably just the fact that I do cast more map gen maps than anything else. But again, it's nice to have that variety in the map gen variety, but it's also nice to have the variety, the more traditional, more meta-ish maps like Dual Gap and Settins and Lana, I think is how you say that one from yesterday's game. It's not that, mainstream, but, it's nice to have the named maps once in a while. And Millennium, don't forget Millennium. Very small, but a very engaging map. Billy Nuke inbound from Team 1 right over that little mountain there. He's right there. Never mind. Yeah, he's right there. And it's going to land in the middle of that force. Nice grab takes out a chunk of units. I didn't hear the explosion, which was kind of weird, but maybe there was an audio glitch or something. Who knows? We do see tac missile started for Zixter, so maybe Billy Nuke in his future. Nuke is loaded, speaking of missile. And it's nuking now. And of course, we caught it while it was firing. There it goes. It's such a big missile. I think it's the biggest regular nuke in the game. Because the YOLO nuke is just a scaled up version of the Seraphim regular nuke. And another Billy nuke. Oh no, is that the same one? That's the same one, I think. And then I think the Cybern one is the tiniest. No, maybe the Aeons one is tiniest, but the Cybern one's definitely tiny. Nuke is inbound to the northeast. That will weaken this eastern side and give a little bit of reprieve because Team 2's Themo has been pushed back even further. That'll help out, just alleviate a little bit of that pressure. There is a GC being built there. Dio finishes an experimental, and that base is not SMD protected. And that nuke is going to land. Kalen's is over there. Definitely not close to the nuke, but definitely probably a little bit closer than they would like. And 4 mexes are down. T3 land headquarters is also down, so no more Harbingers for a little bit of time for Team 1's Belleron. And I will note, 30 minutes on the clock. We have artillery from Team 2. Is that done yet? No, that is done for Team 2. Look at that. And Team 1's Scathis is 31 minutes. Is when it makes an appearance. So first game render at 31 minutes, and then the second one of the Mavor is over 25% complete. So maybe soon 2 game enders at 38 minutes, I think. Maybe we'll see the Mavor at 38. Eastern side, Themo's dropping very, very low, trying to defend the eastern side with his life the best he can. Just a couple of shots will be enough, and he gets some veterans. He survives a little while longer, but it's not going to be enough. And there we go. The gunships, I think, get out of range just barely. And Themo is, I said, defeated by Velerone's Harbinger's first kill of the game, just barely over 31 minutes on the clock. And the first volley of Scathis Fire is inbound for the air grid. SMD kind of maybe targeted specifically. Who knows? There's that nice little chunky air grid here, or smaller, chunkier air grid next to some chunkier mexes. That definitely might be a nice target. And Tac Nuke started for Zigster. No engineering suite. Does he have? He does have some engineers assisting, so at least there is that. Scathis Fire does hit his base on some. Oh, almost hits it, but barely misses it. Shields are down around the SMD. That's not great. There's a lot of backup SMDs, and what happened there? Shields down, says Themo. Is that... that was Swadoslav. That was a control... That was a stealthy control K. I think that was a connection issue straight up just because of the zeroing out of the income. That's where teleporter also done for Freddy Fresh. I will note that is unfortunate because Team 2 will lose 1 and then 2 players back to back like that. Super unfortunate. It's always sad and unfortunate to see players leave the game for exterior factors, but especially with a, no pop-up, zeroed out on the scoreboard, no conversation or anything. That's definitely a stealth control. Again, when I say stealth control K, I mean we don't see the message from the scoreboard telling us it was a control K, meaning it's most definitely a connection issue. Bad Boy defending its life with its secondary firepower. Not good if it has to open those little miniguns up, but hey, it still has some firepower to bring to bear. But the bomber from Team 1, I think, he just hoverbombed? It looked like he hoverbombed there for a second. And the ASFs did not get hit because the bomb wasn't high enough, impacting that Fat Boy shield to make a difference. A little bit of a bump, not a lot of bit of a bump, but we do see a second artillery piece online for Team 2 Zio, so he was building one at the same time, and his air grid is cut in half, especially with that one over there is gone. Not great, but he has a loss. Oh, and Team 1's player of Shokaku is killed by Team 2's Snowy. I believe that was a nuke. Yeah, I don't remember hearing that nuke dying out. He did kill 100,000 mass off. Weird. But that is a kill for Team 2, dropping this game to a 4v5 in Team 1's favor. It was a 6v4, but Team 1 just lost the player there. But the base, once belonging to Shokaku, will go to Wi-Fi. But most of that base is gone. That is unfortunate. I didn't hear the... Maybe I'm crazy and I just missed it, but I feel like it didn't sound off. Weird. Anyway, we do see some bouncers still annoying that bug. That is still alive, by the way. 88,000 mass and climbing. That thing has killed up a lot of mass for a bug. For any air experimental in general, but for bugs specifically, we do see just the not good engagement from Team 1, just a ripping apart of the ASF count. We were going to look at the ASF count for Team 2, and then the nuke happened. So 147 mass, and Freddy Fresh is defeated by... Stuff is happening. Blows up in the northeast. We do see Freddy Fresh teleports in, and then immediately gets killed off by Team 1 PD, and looks like bombers and whatever else was nearby. So that's another loss for Team 2, dropping this game to a 5v3. I feel like I'm missing sound or something. I don't know. Because I feel like there's nothing telling me there's a nuke launch or anything, which is weird. I still hear artillery shots and everything else, but it just seemed weird. But anyway, teleporter started here for Zoom in the middle. He has laser on board. The Mavor is almost done, so double game enders for Team 1. Dio builds another experimental, most likely a crab or a monkey. Yep, second monkey. One after the other, though. Second artillery piece, and that location has been started. The Hovatham, somehow still alive. Shield is being assisted. That would make sense. I was going to say, how is that thing still alive? Nuke, by the way, that's also still alive. I heard another explosion. That's a billion nuke over here to the east. Impacts the shielding for all of these little wall sections underneath that little emplacement there. Team 1's Featherbone's still pushing in, has almost wiped out, actually pretty much wiped out the entirety of Themo's old base, but at 35 minutes on the clock, Team 1 is at 1 point, oh, sorry, well, the artillery killed off Team 1's player of Zoom. Was not a control kit. I was definitely standing next to PGen, something volatile, not the best place to stand. I will admit, not a great scenario to be in, but that is another kill for Team 2, dropping this game now to an even 4v4. Actually, sorry, it's a 3v4. Actually in favor still for Team 1. There's been just kill after kill at this point. I can't keep up at this point. And Soul Ripper, finally, after 100,000 mass killed, is defeated by ASFs, heavily assisted by the ground forces from Snowy. And we've had a lot of players die. Within 5 minutes, we've had 5 players. Yeah, 5 players either leave / get killed off. That is a lot of players to lose just in total, which APM is definitely going to take a huge hit because of that. The Mavor still isn't done, and it gets killed off by all of the everything raining in. Ooh, the billion nuke landed. I think it may have killed off an ASF or two, maybe, but ooh, that's gotta hurt. I don't think it was done either. So the only game ender to make its appearance completed is the Scathus. Second one now started for Chato. Now I hear the nuke from Team 2. What's up with that? Yep, that is super weird. Moving in northeast once again. SMD was built. SMD was not loaded. And it's inbound for Valorant. He thinks maybe it's going after somebody else. And Team 1 doesn't have eyes on it yet. Doesn't know what direction it's going. Scathus still raining in. Looks like on that position to the south. Looks like he finally wiped it out. Nope, still there. It's because he hasn't gotten eyes on the new claim of the Zio variety. And that comm is making a move. Again, the SMD is not loaded, and it's going to go for the mixes again. Really is just saying, no, you cannot keep building stuff up. I'm going to deny you. And wipes out the shield, wipes out, again, the same set of mixes. Just can't catch a break. And Zio control case because of the Scathus fire from Team 1. I can't keep up with all of the kills happening. Nice says Shokaku. Now it's a 2v4 in favor for Team 1 still as a 2-to-1 advantage. And that force on the western side slowly losing steam. We have a Monkey Lord's running around the map for Wi-Fi. He's moving back to... Is he getting hit by artillery piece? Did he just get hit by an... He did get hit by an artillery piece. He's got to watch out. He's going to get sniped if he's not too careful. But he is at, 5-star vet to T2 veteran, T2 engineering suite. And the whatnot. So he still has some hit points to play with. In northeast, another billion nuke lands on the facilities. Not the mexes, but the facilities, which is interesting. I guess denying production. I guess if you can't build units, you can't defend yourself for the most part. It's hard to defend yourself, so there's that. Forces straight down, straight up the middle from Zixter, moving into reinforced with the bricks from Team 2, Snowy, and with the everything gained from Team 1 in game enders, and all the everything being ahead, and comms left alive, they're losing territory very, very quick. Maybe they pivoted too much in terms of Mavor for Wi-Fi. I mean, the Scathus is nice. It's dealt with the 2 artillery pieces that we're building and that were built. And now the third one is being dealt with now. And that Scathus has been firing on that same position for a while now. It still hasn't broken through, at least that one to the south. But artillery for Team 2 has taken out a decent chunk of stuff for Team 1. The Mavor that was being built there. The mass FAF farm that's now about to die here shortly. We have bricks, Percy's inbound with brick assistance, I should say. They're pushing in. Bombers inbound. It's going to get some value out of this. Looks like it was newly minted off that assembly line. Looks like it hover bombs. And is that the only one now online? I thought there was a second one. But maybe that one died and I missed it. There's been so much going on. And it looks like Zixter has control of the eastern half and Snowy has control of the western half. Looks like Snowy is going to be in the water. That's definitely a good call. Toronto's still on the northern edge of the map up there. And artillery raining in onto this position. Wi-Fi near the shielding, not under the shielding. He's building shielding of his own. We have PD being built as quickly as possible. Bomber just trying to thin out that herd as fast as possible. There's still tons of forces inbound. And artillery from Team 2's Snowy, he has 2 of them online. So actually we're up to 3 artillery pieces to Team 2's 1. It is 2 game enders though. That one is now completed. Apologies for that. My recording stopped. So that was fun. But there are now 2 game enders done, 2 Scathi right next to one another. Ooh, that one takes a significant amount of damage from that artillery shell, and it is not looking good. It does sound like my audio is back. Maybe I just had an audio glitch and it cut out a lot of the audio, but it sounds like it's better, maybe, in terms of the game audio. That would have to be something that all of you would have to point out to me, but that scath is not looking good. Oh, I heard strategic launch there, so maybe it was just that one nuke that I missed for whatever reason. Bomber inbound to thin the herd out. Wi-Fi's comm has been pinged. That's not good for him, but you know, he's fine for now. He's at 21,000 hit points. He's building some PD just to help, but I don't know if it's really gonna hurt. We do see Kalen's comm over here to the east has taken a hit from something. Oh, some strap bombers. That's what he's taking a hit from. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, there he goes. Killed off by a couple of the strap bombers from Zigster. And now it is a 3v2. Still in favor for Team 1 at 40 minutes, but is just not looking good for Team 1. Strap bombers inbound for the Scathers. They take the shield offline. Take a Pigeon offline. That's going to hurt the power a little bit. How's this power grid doing? Not good. It looks like Wi-Fi inherits the base once belonging to Kalen's, and so that's really the power that's keeping Team 1 afloat for the most part. Oh yeah, 44,000. Yeah, it's definitely keeping everybody afloat. The strap bombers are going to get maybe 1 or 2 bombs dropped, but not enough to make significant progress into the shield grid. But, you know, a little bit's better than nothing. We do see Zoom is circling the artillery pieces to the west. The third one is being built now. And again, Team 2 has the nuke down here. Looks like Novaxes are being built by Snowy as well. And Zigster just being bombarded by Scath's fire. Looks like his little chunk of an air grid actually avoids pretty much all damage. There's 1 or 2 shots that were close, but not a whole lot. And that's the difference with the Scathers versus other artillery. It's a little less accurate. Again, it's more of a shotgunning. The bomber is going to get wiped out. That's going to be unfortunate. It didn't keep going south, which it could have landed on the Scathers, which would have been very bad, but the bomber is now down. 41 minutes on the clock and climbing. And I don't know if Team 1 has enough in the tank to finish the game, or not finish the game, but to win the game. We have more forces down coming in down from the south from Snowy to continue to push him. We have a Monkey Lord moving in to intercept that Monkey Lord. So that might be enough for Team 1 to defend with for now. Chuckling going down from Team 1. No, that's Team 2 Zio. That's the one who's circling. But the crab is dead. Monkey Lord and Monkey Lord fight here shortly. Nuke it. That Monkey Lord does have 2-star vet, the 0-star vet. So just on principle, that Monkey Lord will win. Even with the initial engagement, it will still win. There's 1 Percy there, 2 Percys there that does some damage. Not enough. Shielding constantly being built and rebuilt and, you know, recharged and whatnot. Monkey Lord just completely ignores that, going after full-on destruction mode. Doesn't care what it kills as long as it kills something off. At least that's, I think, his mindset. The artillery now targeting the artillery from Team 2, but I mean, that might buy them some time. If they wipe out those Dukes, it would buy them a little bit more time. But I don't know how much time Team 1 has left. Just depends on how fast they can wipe out the artillery pieces. That's a little ambitious at 43 minutes almost, that YOLO up there. But hey, if they can make it work, they can make it work. Definitely would be not expected from Team 2, that's for sure. 2 Novaxes online simultaneously, or just moving simultaneously. That's not good for Team 1. Just more and more firepower being thrown down range. Artillery's almost done. It's holding on. That shield grid is holding on. Same thing with the Novax. That one's holding on, but again, it's just not looking good. And it looks like maybe the artillery pieces are now switching off to the Pigeons to deny that. YOLO has been started, so number 3 makes its appearance. The Maybor wasn't built. The 2 Scathi were built. The YOLO was started. I don't know if you want to count that, but you can. No Paragon yet. Again, wouldn't be surprised if something was just started somewhere, but at this point, I don't know if that'd be worth it for Veleron to build another nuke inbound from Team 2. This one's going northeast. I think it's going for the Scathus. Is there an SMD? No, there's not. That's a dead Scathus, and I think at that point, that is going to be game. I don't know if they're targeting Trotil's Calm or not. I think they might be. P-Gen goes down. YOLO's being built. Not super slow, given the situation Team 1 is in. It's 1.3 to 2.3 K-Mass income. Nuke is inbound. It's going to land, and it's going to blow everything up. Those Novaxes aren't even going to get there in time to witness the... they might get there to witness damage, but the Scathus is on the move. Team 1 sees it, sees the nuke. They know exactly what was happening, and they get that thing on the move. And that shield grid is gone, but at least the Novax is alive. Oh, more mass fabs down. That's more mass Team 1's losing out on. Shields are starting to puncture through, and the YOLO has been destroyed and now restarted. And I think that might just be game for Team 2. And then the Novax is killed off by the Novax. The Novax is killing off the Scathus anyways before it gets underneath into the shield grid. So that's not great for Team 1. YOLO, like I said, was restarted. I think it's third time now. And at that point, 45 minutes almost on the clock. Team 1 still kicking in. And shields are being wiped offline. Looks like Trotil's not being hit by a satellite. Scathus is not as good as I remember. And then there goes Team 1's Trotil. Heat control case leaving just Veleron and Wi-Fi remaining. Not much for Team 1 remaining. It's 2v2 game, tied up game once again since the death of Themo is who ended up perishing first in the game. And that was at 31 minutes. That was 14 minutes ago. That's what kicked off this whole, just domino effect for both teams. More and more of the P-Gens die. Looks like Control K. There's no message, so definitely connection, Control K, something happened. And Team 1 loses Wi-Fi, leaving just Veleron remaining at 45 minutes on the clock. And I think at this point, I think we know what's going to happen. Artillery is going to bombard everything else that Veleron owns. So either he dies by Novaxes, or he dies by artillery, or he dips out. Third satellite is inbound. Fourth satellite's online. Fifth satellite's online. Stratum, says Freddy. He's like, get him. There's a lot of strats from Zixter. He could strat him. And the artillery might get to him first. Veleron doesn't have any shielding. Looks like it might pop online soon. There it is. Pops back online. He survives for a little while longer. Oh, nope. Shields back offline. That's not good. And the artillery doesn't get him. And artillery does get him. There he goes. And there's a desync at the very end, but desync not rated. GG, says Snowy, but I don't have it. Again, it happened essentially the last second of the game, so I don't count it. But that is the game, folks. 46 minutes, 44 seconds on the clock. Team 2 wins the game. The MVPs, I mean, Snowy's nuke. Well, his couple of nukes did a pretty good job. Wiped out a player on the western side. Of course, wiped and prompted the Scathus to move, and then got destroyed by Novaxes. Did a very good job there. Obviously, the artillery did come in as well. The artillery was being bombarded down here in the south. He's like, well, I'll build my own. And that actually kind of honestly saved Team 2. They were getting pretty close with their land, but Team 1 built a lot of land forces. They went land, and then they went for game enders, and then they're like, oh crap, we got to go back to land, and they went back to land. And then Team 2 went for artillery, and it kind of switched them up there, and just, got to make those counter moves, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But I do think this section of artillery definitely helped keep Team 2 alive. And yeah, the game would have probably gone on longer. The Scathus would have been there. Maybe the shielding would have been broken eventually. I mean, the Novaxes were being built. That's something. There's an argument to be made that maybe Team 1 would have come back had those artillery not been there, but it would have been slim, I think. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Again, apologies for the cut in the video. Probably what happened is I fat fingered the button to turn off the recording, so that was not great. But I didn't get too far in to the recording before I realized, oh shoot, it's not working anymore. Why is it not working? So there's that at least. But again, thank you so much for watching until the very end of the video. Again, MVP for me goes to Snowy, and I will see all of you in the next one.